Good morning. How you doing? Happy Wednesday. Hope you guys are doing awesome today. So let's get into today's article. We're going to talk about why intrinsic motivation is so powerful and how to find it. All right, there's some issues with the computer this morning, a bit later than usual. And this article is by Evelyn Meredith. So let's get into the article here. Motivation is one of the main reasons why we do things. Take action, go to work, and sometimes overwork ourselves. Great goals and exercise willpower. There are two main universally agreed upon types of motivation: intrinsic motivation, also known as internal motivation, and external motivation, extrinsic and external. Regardless of the type, motivation is still important to get you moving, improve, and to put that extra effort you feel like you don't have to have every single drop of energy left to keep on going. Excuse me. So let's see what some of the best things you can do to keep the fire going even when you'd rather indulge in something else. So what is it? What is intrinsic motivation? To define intrinsic motivation is to look at a definition offered by the American Psychology Association. Intrinsic motivation, an increase to engagement in a specific activity that diverts from pleasure to activity itself rather than because of an external benefits that might be obtained. Internal motivation is by inference when you do something because it's internally fulfilling, interesting, or enjoyable. When you are internally motivated, you act without expectation of reward or recognition from others. So why intrinsic motivation tops extrinsic motivation? To be motivated means to be moving to do something. Generally speaking, we all need motivation. Significant research is done in the domain shows that when it comes to finding the lasting drive to do something, internal incentives are much more powerful than extrinsic rewards. Why? It's simple. There is a great difference between when you engage in something because you want to as opposed to you must. Just think about that. The most obvious example here is work. If you go to work every day, dragging your feet and dreading the day ahead, how much enjoyment will you have from your job? What about productivity and results? Quality of work? Yep, that's right. You won't be topping the employee of the month list anytime soon. The thing with external motivation is that it doesn't last. Let me know if you believe that. Leave a comment below and let me know if you believe that external motivation does not last. It doesn't last. It's subjectable to something psychologists call hedonistic adaptation. It is a fancy way of saying that external rewards are not sustainable source of happiness and satisfaction. As I'm sure you've seen, some people out there that do not buy all the fancy cars and stuff, and then they're never happy, right? When you put in 100-hour weeks to get promoted and you finally get there, how long does your high last? Research tells us that the walking on the cloud feeling wears off quickly, making you want more. Therefore, you are stuck on a never-ending hedonistic treadmill. A rat race, perhaps? Example: you can progress only become motivated by bigger and shinier things. To find out that they only did not bring you satisfaction you hope for when you finally get them. Or as the journalist, author Oliver Berkman wonderfully puts it, write every day won't work unless you want to write every day. An exercise regime won't last if you don't at least slightly enjoy what you're doing. So find enjoyment in what you're doing at a personal level, and it'll last longer, right? What are the benefits of intrinsic motivation? Studies reveal that intrinsic motivation is generally a stronger predictor of job performance over the long run than extrinsic motivation. So you might get bonuses and stuff, but still you must like your job, love it. One reason is that when you internally are driven to do something, we do it simply for the enjoyment of the activity. So we keep going daily because we feel inspired, driven, happy, and satisfied with ourselves. Another reason is that internal motivation attitudes are intertwined with things such as higher purpose, contributing to a cause, or doing things for the sake of something bigger than ourselves or our benefit. Research confirms that the use of external motivators such as praise undermines students' internal motivation, and in the long run results in slower acquisition of skills and more errors in the learning process. In contrast, when children are internally driven, they are more involved in the task at hand, enjoy it more, and internally seek out challenges. Therefore, all the research seems to allude to one major revolution. Intrinsic motivation is a must-have if you want to save yourself the drudgery we sometimes feel when contemplating what we should do or must do. Unlocking your intrinsic motivation. Let's say you dig a ditch. For many, this may seem like a chore. They would rather they would neither choose nor enjoy without being paid or forced to do, both of which are intrinsic motives. If you've been following along, but what if you were digging the ditch to create a swimming pool that would provide you and your family with years of enjoyment? This would certainly change things for you and most others. While there While these might appear to be intrinsic thoughts, they are a form of what psychologist Abraham Maslow called growth motivation. Pardon me. Motivation that leads to growth from over and above the basic needs. According to Maslow, all of us have a hierarchy of needs. The purpose that the motivation results from a person's attempting at fulfilling 5 basic needs. What are those needs? Psychological safety, social esteem, and self-actualization. He further theorized that these needs could create internal pressures that influence a person's behavior. Growth motivation is part of our self-actualization and our desire for self-fulfillment. So how does this all psychobabble fit into your intrinsic motivation? The psychobabble is key to unlocking your intrinsic motivations. Once you understand where your internal growth comes from, you can shift your focus to this area, and rather than any external reward. In so doing, you will notice that work becomes pleasure and pain becomes progress, with all leading to growth within yourself. It's a growth mindset, right? It is truly a magical place that will lead you to years of success and happiness for you as long as it's for me. How, you may be asking. Here are 5 quick tips to kickstart your motivation. Start by looking at all components of each situation or task you face. Break it down into individual components. Why, how, and what. Focus on aspects that will bring you internal satisfaction or enjoyment. Make this cornerstone of activity. Reflect and practice gratitude for at least this component, if not everything. There's also 6 ways to enhance your intrinsic motivation. You can check out the email that I sent around 7 a.m. today. Okay, and you check that out then. So, final thought. Intrinsic motivation tips the scales when finding long-term happiness and satisfaction in everything we do and improving our overall well-being. The next time you need to give yourself a bit of a kick to get something done, remember to link it to a bigger goal than yourself, preferably one that has non-material benefits. If you feel a bit defeated or don't know how to find internal motivation, think about to NASA, the generator at NASA. Because once you find internal generator, you will truly be unstoppable. It's pretty cool, guys. Alright, that's it for today, for Wednesday. We will see you all on Wednesday. Thank you, and don't forget to be positive, and have a great hump day.